Amateur Television Experimenters Night. This is VK7OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania. Amateur radio is a worldwide hobby that has many different aspects. Digital television is just one of the many modes and areas that are covered. Maybe you're interested in becoming involved in the DATV Experimenters Nights. You realise that you do not have to be a radio amateur or need any ATV equipment to participate anywhere in the world. Also participate in the night by coming up to the Queen's Domain club rooms. Yes, right on top of the Queen's Domain in the heritage-listed Coast Wireless Station. You never know, we might get you in front of the camera or behind doing one of the many roles during the night. We get underway with our program on a Wednesday night from 7:30 p.m. local time. We'll see you soon. This is VK7 OTC.
Okay, this is actually we need to move. Richard, can you just move that camera?
Pan that camera left of you.
And in fact I can give you, there you go, that's what you're looking at. So just pan the camera.
That should be good.
That's great.
That's great.
That's excellent. Because that's a new camera. Anyway, we'll start off. This is VK7OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania, with our digital amateur television night presentation for the 22nd of January 2020. And I have familiar faces in the studio in Hayden, VK7HH, and Richard, VK7ZBX. And the very first thing, greetings. Sorry.
Hello, viewers.
Now, something happened last weekend.
Yeah, well, lots of things happened last week.
The main event that happened last weekend.
The field day, yay!
The field day. It's the Summer VHF UHF Field Day, and there were people all over the place. I think we did a good job of getting people in.
We distributed ourselves quite reasonably well.
I think, there was stations all over the place, weren't there? We weren't sort of pointing in one area. It was,
in fact, quite the opposite, where we're actually spinning the beams around. Note to self, have a mechanism for rotator.
Oh well, and note to self, put 6 metre beam on in the same direction as the 70 centimetre beam. But anyway, we'll get into that later.
180.
So where were you two?
We were at QE37 Oscar Charlie, which is the little car park off to the side of the road, almost before you get to the summit of Mount Wellington. I think there is a little one just down, but we were in a slightly larger one.
Okay.
That grid square covers the summit as well.
Which is enough room for a Hilux and for a Subaru and a blow mould table between the two, and that's probably about it.
Oh, cool. Okay.
We couldn't get the awning out.
No, we had quite a few different setups, and it's like,
the plan was
not going to work.
The plan was to get the awning out to save us from the sun.
Right.
But then there was a distinct lack of sun, so we.
Well, at first there was a distinct lack of sun.
Right.
And then that changed.
Yes. I had a similar situation because I was parked just off the road, which was about the same size as I suspect you're talking about, which was the width of the van. And if I put the awning out, it would have been written off by the people driving past.
Well,
we had witches' hats, and there were a couple of instances where Hayden's like, look out, look out, look out. These people, one guy was actually had part of his car outside of the witches' hats. And we're like, buddy, what are you doing?
And then we had another guy that stopped out the front.
And the doors open and just took a photo.
And then another guy, he just sat there and he looked at us. And he looked at this where the summit was. And then he looked at us again. And he just pulled in to where we were. And
we're like, 97
no, you can't do that. And then you're going, no. And they're in the front seat just waving. No.
He's like making the thing to sort of turn around. I said, just keep driving to the top.
Drive to the top and you can turn around.
And he's like, no. And he's done like a 97-point turn. There's a heap of cars all lined up there.
And we thought, the 10 gig dish is going to get hit here, but he turned around and he drove off. But that might be in funny stories.
And drove back down again. Yeah, well, that's sort of missed the summit really altogether.
Yep.
So I've just got a few little hints here. Some trials and tribulations of the day.
Generators and other animals.
Now, what happened to the generator, may I ask?
Well, the generator was doing a wonderful job.
Okay.
Oh, was it?
It was, I think, probably at its limit. It was 1100.
From a load point of view?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was doing some weird things, as we discovered later.
The load I don't think it appreciates that. It likes a constant load.
Yeah. Okay.
So it doesn't like sideband. If you're using sideband where the load's fluctuating, it doesn't like that.
So we gave it a few tests. We sort of tested with a few stations thinking that we might have had some weird sort of signal conditions and noises, and as everything was all clean, so we thought, we'll just give it a crack.
Okay.
And it was going really well.
And we'd used that generator before.
That's right, we had used that generator up on One Tree Hill.
Okay.
To work in a ZL on 2 and 70.
And it was fine.
And it was great. It was quite happily sat there, but in all of the jiggling and jumping and jostling around, it became apparent that the oil filler had become not its optimum tension.
No.
So the oil filler cap.
So the oil, because you know how you've got the little bit in the side, in each side of those little engines, that you basically fill it up until it's full.
Until it gets to that level. Yeah.
Well, obviously, one of those had become loose.
Right.
And it had vibrated out, and because the thing was running at sort of probably its almost capacity, there was a bit of vibration going on.
Yeah.
And it's just gradually unscrewed. And it's got to the point where it's fallen out, in which case it's gone, cool, now I can empty all the oil out. So it's blown all the oil out through the hole. And of course, then the oil pressure switch has gone, ooh, that's not good.
And shut down.
Mid contact.
VK5 contact on 6.
Oh, it's like, I'll just exchange numbers with you. 59, oh dear.
Everything's gone quiet. It's like, so of course, normally when you walk up to a generator and you see everything covered in oil,
that's not good.
Well, what happened here? And luckily the bung was sitting right next to it.
That's right. So it didn't look like it had been blown out. It had just fallen out.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyway,
did you actually know that it had a low oil cut out at that stage?
No, we discovered that very quickly.
Maybe that it wouldn't because it was a Ryobi cheapie.
Yeah.
Like again, it wasn't like a $2,000 Honda.
But it didn't sort of die slowly though.
No, it just went burst.
It went. We heard it go bang, and then it just died.
So anyway,
right.
So it lost pressure very quickly.
There was a few contingencies then about like, what are we going to do?
Because we had everything set up, so we had both cars that had plates that were holding the masts, and we had dishes.
Yeah.
We'd have to pack everything, at least one of the vehicles up.
Yep.
We're like, do we go down? Do we get oil? Do we get someone else to get oil?
So we sort of started thinking, who can I ring? So my neighbour's got a 2 kVA, like a Honda thing, so I've rang her and said, can I borrow your generator? And she's like, we're in town. I'm like, that'd be right. So then it's like, I had a generator at home, and I thought, this one at work, but then I don't have to ring someone and get them to go to work. It's like, so then we looked at one another and went, Maybe we can sweet talk Rex.
We might ring Rex. So Rex brought not only oil but his own generator.
Okay.
So that helped us. I'm just
And remember, if I wasn't at Eaglehawk Neck, I have a generator as well, Honda generator as well. So
I'll put that in the database.
So
yes, do that.
But wouldn't have been any good to you because I was.
You were using it.
Oh, no, I wasn't using it. I was elsewhere.
But and that was it. And using Rex's Honda generator didn't have the same issues on sideband or anything. And we had multiple radios running, and it
The
was
regulations
really,
much better on a Honda generator.
It was really good.
So, very
That-
good.
That would work.
Very good indeed. Very good indeed.
So we got back on the air, and the
Good job.
Rex's little generator was a little Honda EU10. It did a fantastic job.
Yeah, they do.
And
And you
obviously
don't have to.
that's why you sort of separate, as they say, separate the men from the boys when it comes to
Generators.
paying $200 for a generator, or
Or being
four or five times that, you know.
or being at Don Max at exactly the same time as the guy who walked into it was selling the generator to upgrade, and I looked at the guy and I said, "So how much do you want for that?"
Actually, there's an EU10 on gum trailing at the moment for $500 odd.
So this is your arrangement
Yeah,
on screen currently. So actually, that parking bay just nicely fits that.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It's very much.
That one's got a very good outlook north, but it doesn't have a very good outlook towards where you were, unless you cross the road to the
Yeah,
other side,
okay.
which
But
is
then
a bit
you haven't got
hairy.
much.
Well, actually, as we
No, there's plenty of room. It's just getting the power over there was the
Yeah,
problem.
okay.
I
Okay.
mean, especially with the traffic, we didn't really want to run a container or anything.
So this is the 10 gigs.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
What's this one?
That's 3.4.
Oh,
That's
okay.
the new.
coffee can
That's
feed.
the new 3.4.
Wow.
Unfortunately, we didn't get the ability to test that.
Oh, okay.
So that was its first outing.
Right. Oh, hang on. There's a grid pack up here.
Yep. So that's
There's a grid pack right there.
2.4.
Okay.
And then above that
So
is
it's
2
meters
meters.
above that.
Okay. Yes.
And you'll notice quite a large 5-element, 6
6 metre beam,
Okay.
which we assembled on site just behind the two vehicles. There's a remarkably flat section,
Yeah.
Okay.
and we discovered one of the issues of building antennas using the light 1.6mm wall RHS.
Yep.
The little metal screws will grab in it quite nicely the first time.
The first time,
But not
well and
after
truly.
that.
But I believe nutserts will definitely be required for
Well,
a future
And
day.
we've also discovered that possibly for future field days we might be able to exploit that area to mount temporary antennas up there too.
I think,
Okay.
so if we
Because
can
it's
get
nice and flat and it's got a little bit more elevation.
Yeah, it allows you to see that into town quite.
And we may even be
Cool.
able to lug the dishes up there into a flat spot and
Okay.
run the IF down further.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
you can see a lot more.
It's
I
amazing.
can
We
hear
were
some-
quite a tourist attraction, I believe.
Yeah, we had. There must,
could actually
there
hear
must
the-
have been about 6,000
You
cars
could hear
that
the
drove
sound
past.
of the people coming up the hill. I did like, bah,
And you hear
as
this,
they drove past us.
and then everyone would be head out the window going. What? At one point, I said to Richard, "How long is it before do you reckon we end up on like the Vigilante News Facebook page or something with
Yeah.
idiots
Spies
up
on Mount Wellington or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. Like what is going on
What are you
here?"
guys up to?
No one stopped to ask though,
Okay.
No.
and the good thing is that location you can't really stop to ask. So
No, without a whole heap of cars behind you.
mm.
So, okay, so trials and tribulations. Well, definitely. I have one, which I mentioned earlier.
Correct antenna orientation.
Yes, when you put up the antennas, you really do need to check that you have all the beams actually facing in the same direction. I don't know what I was thinking.
on the ground, but
Richard came up with a very good idea with his, and he colour coded the elements of the 6 metre Yagi. So he sprayed painted the
Yeah, no, well, I've
And-
done it with electrical tape.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
a very good idea because you
Yeah.
can just go. You don't have to measure anything. You don't have
No,
to write on it.
just-
you just
That's
push it in,
spot
and
on.
yeah.
eventually we'll have like we'll put some nutserts in the boom,
Yep.
and then just have like some wing nutty or wing bolty type
Yeah.
things that you can just put in, and
Yeah.
like you can do them up in a rattle.
But those antennas work really well.
I was pretty impressed with how it worked.
No, spot on. Spot on.
It's my track record of building Yargies, but anyway.
They were really good.
No,
And the
that's
6
fine,
metre
that's fine.
one wouldn't quite go up far enough, but the 2 metre one did both 146 500 and
Yeah.
144. So
Okay. That's excellent. So, some learnings.
bring 2 generators.
Or oil, at least.
Tighten the bung.
Look, that's not, well, it was a work generator, so That's probably my bad. So I'm supposed to be field tech looking at the generators and things.
I think the plan is at least one of us is going to get a Honda generator going forward if we're going to be doing this. The VK3KQ, when I do this video, they've got a setup where they've got 2 EU22s.
Yeah, okay.
And they link them together. They feed them from the same fuel. And then they've got 2 EU10s as backups. And it's like, these guys.
But this is the thing,
I'm serious about this.
And some of the stuff, like they had this rotator controller that it's touch screen, and it comes up, and then they've got all of the locations. They can go to a grid square, or they can go to like Hobart, Launceston, a call sign, and I'm looking at it going, wow, that's
pretty impressive.
This is smart.
This is the sad thing, is that the more you think you're prepared, the more you look at someone else's rig and you go, oh dear, I'm very poorly prepared.
I'm just happy. Probably one of my learnings is I'm just happy to get more points each time I do it. Which is if I do that, that's.
I've made some modifications too to the plates, because originally the plates I had were just pieces like 600 square of 8mm steel plate with like a piece of tube welded to them. And it had like a in fact, the first one Murray and I did, the first field day we did, it didn't actually have any method of locking it, which was a bit tricky when it was windy. But I just ended up drilling a hole and welding a nut on, and then put a bolt in as like a lock screw. But the problem was then you had to build the mast with the 3 antennas somehow, and then pick it up and drop it in the hole.
And that's the issue I've got.
And when I built it for the last field day, I think Ben came by to pay a visit. He quite kindly helped me build it, and I lifted it up and plonked it in. But then, of course, he very rudely didn't come and help me take it down.
Well, it's a one-man job now.
So it's like so that's how come a few of the elements had to be replaced, because it's like so now I've just basically made a tilting plate with 2 bolts. So basically you can tilt it from, I don't know whether I've got
when you're prepared, Ellie.
Where would we be without pictures on our phones? Goodness gracious.
Wow, exactly.
So that probably sort of shows it.
Oh, so you actually take the bolt out and then you lean it over. Shit, I just did something, sorry. What did I do?
And the concept behind that is that I took up a crappy old folding sawhorse, and that was able to actually lean the mast up against it, so that then you could quite happily build the antennas and then just tilt the whole thing up.
So you've got the bottom bolt, I assume, is a locking bolt.
No, well the bottom bolt actually comes
Is there pivots?
No,
okay.
No, it actually pivots on the next one.
Sorry, you're right. And so that's a locking bolt.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That's excellent.
So then you've got the bolt on the side, which I very remissively didn't weld another piece of like 10mm rod onto, so you could just tighten it up with your hand.
Yeah. Okay.
We actually left a shifter there at all times.
Yeah, we had a shifter there.
No. Okay.
But that makes it really easy, because you just fold it straight over.
And you don't. The problem I've got is, because you welded the bit of tube on the plate for me. The problem I've got is you've got to lift that out, and then you've got to walk it down. But it's got to be in something where it's not going to.
Where the bottom's not going to scale out.
So that's a fantastic idea.
And the only other way that you could probably do it is driving off the plate and then lowering it. But then, if you're in the car, you don't want it to fall over while you.
No, correct. I actually ended up, because it's towards the front of the vehicle, is actually putting the foot of that pole into the tyre, and taking it down that way. But there's just that moment where the balance, you haven't quite got the balance right.
That's one man operation.
Correct.
That's one man operation now, and it's really easy. And the other thing too is if you keep that top bolt loose when you do it, then what you can do is attach your antenna any way you want, so that you're not gonna, you could lean the reflector on the ground while you do it up. Then you lift it up, and then you can orientate it and then tighten it. You don't have to sort of,
we actually
mess around. And
that's good.
For the one with the 3 antennas that had the 1296 and the 70cm and then the 6, we actually put the 1296 on the very top. And then the 70 down, only probably 500mm. And then when we leant it up in the air, we then sort of jumped up on the roof of the Hilux and actually stood there and sort of bolted it on.
Put the 6 metre
Hayden
one
just passed it across.
Because the 6 metre one's too large to do that on the ground.
And that's the problem I have, because the 6 metre, I put 6, 2 and 70.
Yeah,
the other way around.
to do it, yeah.
But the problem is, as soon as you put the 6 metre one on, you've got to put it up.
Yep.
You can't lean it down. So that's it gets a bit tricky there.
It is the right way to do it. Have the lower frequency one
Yeah.
high, and obviously get it higher,
Yeah.
sort of more wavelengths above the ground. But
But then they also say then there's more loss because the coax got to run far further.
not on 6.
But with your 23 centimetre antenna, you don't have any choice. It has to go on the top
No,
Yeah.
that's
because the way it's mounted.
so cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was a good learning.
That's a fantastic idea. That's really, really good. Okay, thank you.
No worries.
So scores, how did you go?
I
Now,
believe
you two were actually operating the club station.
Yeah, we actually did
multi-operator?
a first for us. We actually did a multi-station, which was pretty cool, and we used VKCL in multi-user mode.
Which
Okay.
apparently is only the third station in Australia to use that.
Yeah,
Right. Okay.
and
Cool.
we discovered, maybe everybody else knew this, but I certainly didn't, being used to dealing with Wi-Fi, where normally clients that connect to an access point
Yep.
are normally got some sort of client isolation.
Hmm.
So, but I discovered in my tinkering before the contest that
Your phone doesn't have
to
that.
my phone, the phone doesn't have that. So we were able to set up like a Samba share on one machine,
Okay.
and Hayden was able to connect to it, and it worked a treat.
We didn't have any glitches.
Wow.
It just worked.
Even though the internet was somewhat poor, we just basically needed to keep the time synchronised.
I think for future what we'll do is get some sort of induction cradle to put your phone in and have an external aerial set up, I reckon.
That's right. Oh, we only used it because I
Because
had
it's
data on the
very,
phone.
it's very poor on the mountain.
Yeah. There's so much crap up there.
Oh, well, even off just for the side because of the height. There's no mobile phone panels point up at the mountain, so
Yeah.
it's very poor coverage.
So it worked really quite well. The software worked really well. We didn't have any glitches. There was a couple of moments when like the generator failed, but luckily we had laptops which had batteries,
Yeah.
so they
Yeah. So that
they
kept
didn't
going.
sort of glitch or anything. But
Yep.
But yeah, we scored 30,000, just over
yeah,
30,000
just over
points
30,000 points. Which was
Wow. Okay.
for 8 hours.
But mainly thanks to your wicked effort on 6 metres at the start. I'm sort of running around trying to sort of get the
By
final
the
bits
time-
and I was like, oh, well, this guy's on 6.
I think in the first, because the generator failed, 40 minutes in?
Yeah, something like that.
In the first half an hour, or the first 20 minutes of
I
contesting,
think
we
we
were
had
already...
15
It
contacts.
was already up to about 16,000 points by
Yeah.
that stage.
Okay.
And
oh, forget all the others, just work on 6.
yeah, and our best distance was, well, there was probably two. One was VK5BWR. He was just out of. Where was he? He was.
No, he was up.
He was past Adelaide.
Wyala way.
Yeah.
Because that's a club station. Because it's funny how these things happen. The guy who contacted me about the that runs the ATV repeater in Wyala up in the Iron Triangle,
Yeah.
and was talking about the quality on here, is from that club. And he said, "Oh no, BWR contacted OTC and yourself." So
Yeah, because we at first I thought they said PWR on air.
no, there it is.
Yeah,
BWR.
Yeah, but I put them down as a PWR, and then I listened later on and heard them calling, and I did the second rework, and I knew that I'd spoken to him, and I put in BWR, and I went, oh, I've made a mistake.
Yeah,
So I
go
went
back.
back and changed it
Spot
to
on.
PW because I didn't know that that was the call sign because he actually said that time Bravo Whiskey Romeo. So.
Yeah. So yeah.
And VK4IF.
Oh yes. Which I ended up I couldn't hear him to start with, and later I could hear him. Well, that was actually
He did
exactly
get stronger later, Scott.
well and truly, but ended up not contacting.
Yeah.
And of course, by a little bit later, everyone disappeared.
It was actually lucky because the first time we contacted him, he was really weak, and I only knew who it was and I could hear because I knew that it was Scott VK4CZ on the mic,
Okay.
and I knew what his voice sounded like, so I could make out the numbers. If it had been anyone else, I wouldn't have been able to make it out.
Okay.
But then the second contact, he was like 5'9",
Yeah.
no problems at all.
but he was off working lots of other people, so I just and then go back to it, and they've all disappeared.
And about 10 minutes before the start of the contest, I was hearing VK1 as well, 20 over 9, and they disappeared.
Right.
As soon as the contest started. So it shortened really, and then it just disappeared. So,
No, because
we were able to hear the RAE beacon on 270 and 1296 pretty much all day.
Okay.
So we didn't hear anyone from up in that.
So did you make any contacts to the north?
To the north, we made a couple. We worked Peter. We didn't. We worked
DW
and James JM.
Yeah.
On
2 metres. No, we worked on 270, 23.
70 centimetres just, right on the edge.
But 23 was like, that's the best signal that had.
Okay.
We tried on 10 gigs and was unsuccessful, but I think we discovered that the place...
And we tried on 2.4 and it was unsuccessful.
Where the boys set up just wasn't optimum.
Yeah, okay. Because they were on Mount Barrow, but they weren't on the southern edge of
They were on the northern
Mount
face, I think, to try and work a bit of gigs first day.
Okay. Which there is a lot of land between you and where that gate, I think, is, from memory.
And we've worked Peter from White Hills plenty of times, so we know that works. Whereas where he was there,
3 watts on 10 gigs, you know.
Okay.
So it was a little bit sad that we didn't actually end up working anyone on 2.4 or 3.4, because the only other 2.4 and 3.4 stations
was Peter.
Was either Peter or was in my shed at home.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yes. Which I didn't take with me, and
But we're going to we are going to test that new dish soon and see how we go with it.
Fantastic. Okay.
Well, we made some contacts. It was all good.
And 10 gigs was absolutely fascinating from my perspective, because I only set up late and did the contact with Rex. And Rex actually thought at that stage
that you were here.
That I was here.
Yeah.
And so the first contact...
It's funny how we were using OTC.
Yeah. But anyway... but the first contact was that was reasonable. It was good. I think it was 5 and 5 or something like that. But the second contact, the next 2 hours, he said, I've turned around and I'm pointing at Peter, and I sort of went, that'd be PD. That means he's pointing north, and I'm still hearing him. And so we were both basically pointing north, and I was getting him off of scatter from somewhere.
90 watts into a 1.1 metre dish has a habit of
scattering. But then I had...
He was still getting back to him.
No, I'm still getting back to him, and he's pointed in the other direction. So I just sort of went... And that's a 1.2 metre dish with 3 watts.
Yeah.
So, not insignificant, but, okay. And then you came up. You actually suddenly came out of the noise, and I went... Whoa,
because I got really just because I'm like, really? Because I was pointing, I knew where you were, and by the time I turned, I did a quick Google Earth and went, I need to be down there. Crap, I'm pointing into the road. Sort of trying to work some tourist as he drives up the hill.
And then I fiddled with it a little bit.
So then I ended up hearing you by turning it so it was pointing sort of straight across. And then you went, and that was when we sort of gave it away.
Yeah.
Then the next time around, I think Hayden turned it just a little bit further into the road, into the side of the hill. And
I looked through the scope, and you had the fence. The what is it? They've got that steel that cable.
Yeah.
And what I basically did was I aimed as low as I could through that. I didn't go any lower because then the road got in the way, and then that's where you heard Justin. So.
Yeah, okay.
And
it was as far around.
No, and there wasn't much of you, but I was actually I could understand what you were saying, which I couldn't before.
But had we moved 3.5 metres to the other side of the road, you would have just been...
I know. It'd be dynamite. So...
But look, it's all... But when the last time I operated up there, Rex and I worked 24 gigs. I borrowed his little standby system. And that... We actually experimented and pointed in all sorts of directions. It didn't matter. It was just 5 and 9.
Yeah.
Like no matter what.
You've got the height.
So,
we should have turned it towards the concrete tower and seen what that had done.
Yeah.
Scattered it off the side of that.
Well, hey.
Because you probably would have been able to see that through the... Do you have a scope?
No, I didn't have a scope. I haven't got the... I've got the scope sitting on the workshop bench right at the moment, waiting to be mounted. So... And I thought, I'm not going to need it. I'm not going to need it on the weekend because I'm going to be able to see Mount Wellington and point it in the general direction.
There was a lot of haze around there.
There was, and by the end of the day, I was going to see, but I'd already knew that it was between those trees there, so that was quite good. It was a bit confusing though, because when I got there, I pulled out the the phone compass, as you do.
Yeah.
And I know that phone compass is a bit off because my phone sits in a cradle with magnets on it so that it clips back into my wallet. But so I took it out and I went, no, that's not right. North is not in that direction. And then, so I went onto the maps, the list site, and the list site has a wonderful little feature on your phone that has a little arrow on it, and you push the arrow, which is put me on the map.
Oh, yeah.
So use the GPS in here to put me on the map.
Yep.
And when it put me on the map, I went, yeah, that is north. And in fact,
Just looks different from this angle.
the VK4s, I was not pointing anywhere near Queensland. I can tell you now. It was more like South Australia.
A few times, because we had 6 metre beam on the same mast as the 1296 and 70 centimetre.
We were fighting each other sometimes.
Oh, Hayden's there working all this week. He goes, I've got to turn the antenna around. I want to work the boys on
You're
1296.
5.9. Oh, hold on. No, you're 4.1 now. We've just moved the beam.
So I'd work someone on 1296 and they'd go, quick, turn it back around. Okay, turn it back around.
For the most part, it wasn't too much of a problem, but
I love it.
it was only really an issue to VK5s, I think.
Yeah. But it was pretty good. We had a bit of fun.
No, good stuff. Fantastic.
And look, it was pretty good that the guys up north had a bit of a crack. And
Well, everybody had a bit of a crack. I think.
we need some northwesterners to.
We need a little bit more participation up there, yeah.
Yeah. All take the rig up to Mount Reid or something, and
It's a bit harsh.
I think it'd be interesting to try because we were here with a Beacon RAE on 1296, and I think that runs 10 watts into like an Omni.
I wouldn't mind
a slot antenna or something.
I wouldn't mind going to places like
Mount George or
well there, but also maybe even like the Northwesterners could go to the Nut or Table Cape.
Table Cape,
Rocky Cape. Table Cape, you can drive all the way there.
Yeah.
And they can work VK3s and
little picnic area on Round Hills. Like.
There's plenty of places along there that are elevated above the sea.
You're looking at Bass Strait, you've got it made.
Yeah. In actual fact, some place along there would be good to try 2.4 and 3.4 to VK5 from there.
Yeah, it would.
Okay.
We just need to find someone at the other end.
Sounds like a plan.
For all of our VK5 watchers.
VK5 BWR, who probably end up watching this later. If they're interested, they may be maybe the other end. So that's
Good.
the Iron Triangle. So
Good.
There you go. Well, that is fantastic. Any final comments about the Summer VHF UHF Field Day?
No, I think we learned a lot. It was good.
Oh, put your log in.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
Please. Put your log in.
We even put ours in for Sunday. I worked a few on Sunday.
Okay.
But you disappeared real quickly.
Yeah, I did.
Just saying.
I did. No, well, I don't actually know what the scenario is there, because if I start making like home contacts or rover contacts,
We did
one
as OTC. I just did one as VK7ZBX.
Oh yeah, no.
The same
I think I got
No.
700 points or something.
And you're saying final comments and things. We did notice one thing, that walkers in particular up the mountain, their general look on their face when they walked past us was like,
What are you weirdos doing?
and it was sort of it took because there's so much sheer material for them to work with. It took them a while to sort of
take it all in.
So they slowed down in their walking or their jogging and sort of went.
Moving on.
And then put their head down, and then as they walked down another few metres, it was sort of like this sort of. I don't know what them guys are doing, but okay.
Okay, they're not hurting anybody. That's fine.
No, they're not indirectly hurting anyone.
It didn't get moved on by the council, so.
But the council didn't even drive past.
Yeah, he did. A couple of them go past. Hey, mate.
We also noticed that we also figured too that maybe when we're running 10 gigs, we might have QSB when buses drive in front of the dish and stop.
Yeah.
But I think that's part of our plan. If we can elevate that extra few metres up on that bit of a bank, or go out on the other side of the arm coat.
Yep.
fact, there's a couple of interesting spots just on the other side of the wire, which I think with a bit of sort of
And
surveying,
we've-
it's just you've got no shelter.
There's only really one other spot on the whole mountain that we probably could exploit, and that's not really good towards some areas, and it's at the summit, and there's noise on 2 metres and 6 metres.
And you sort of,
Now, there is a spot we use the optical stuff on,
Yep.
but it's down at the chalet.
Mm.
So, and you can actually, there's enough space on the other side of the Armco to set it up, because that's where we set up all the optical stuff, and we did a contact out to Ken at
Oh,
Oriole.
so
Isn't there
Field.
trees in the way though?
No, there's no trees there. That's the beauty of it. And there's enough, there's
we
enough
looked at
room.
one spot where you come up around a fairly sharp right-hander as you're coming up.
Yep.
And there's like a pull-off area off to the side there with like a bit of a wall, which
Yeah,
I thought that
okay.
might be a good spot for.
But no, I know what you're talking about down the bottom.
Yeah.
We couldn't use that because I think there was a wedding going on there or some sort of event.
There's usually a lot of people parked there because they're all getting water or whatever,
or using the chalet
or
itself.
using the chalet.
They had the fire going, and
Yeah. Okay. So settling in for the day.
and the other thing too that we had to consider where that pull-off area was, we had to move, especially the which was the longest Yagi, 6 metres. We had to move it far enough back so that the Yagi wouldn't overhang over the road, because you have a bus come past and would take out director
Scratch marks down the
4,
bars.
and the gain would go down on the antenna. So
More importantly.
yeah, so
Excuse me, mate.
so what are you doing? We're trying to work VK4 here, and you're taking the front of our antenna off.
I love it. Well, that is fantastic, guys.
Yep.
So I look forward to VK7OTC taking out the field day for VK7.
We,
Yes.
I don't know whether that'll happen, but we talked to one of the VK4s, Kevin, VK4 UH.
Yeah.
They were involved with the site, and I think he said they were really impressed with how well they went. They did the 24-hour gig. They got
100,000.
100,000 points.
But
that's
24 hours.
But they were up to
But they also
76
had
gigs.
they had
Yeah.
every band, and they had people there, and
Yeah. I think they are. That's a classic example of really good organisation.
And the place there's a photo that I've got that they sent through, and it was of the living room, and there was wine glasses on the living room table, so it wasn't sort of
So they're sort of settled in.
shacking out on a blow mould table.
Yeah.
They could go and have a sleep.
Sleep and a wine and
And one, it's like, this is
a bit of a
ridiculous.
recipe for disaster, though, if you They could end up on a bit of a slippery slide there.
You won't be saying OTC, I know that. Oh, that was the other difficult thing.
Yeah, you had to note to self, if you actually operate a club station or another station.
Don't say your own call sign.
Yeah, get a big piece of cardboard and stick it up in front of the laptop.
OTC.
So a few times you go, oh, now what call sign did I use then? You use ZBX. Actually, it's not ZBX.
Oh, and the other thing that we'll do next time is we'll probably get you a set of headphones as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it's difficult when you're talking
There's
next to one.
There's two. Yeah. Okay. No. Well, fantastic. Very good indeed. Very good. Thank you, guys.
Okay.
That we'll do. This is VK7OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania, with our DATV Experimenters Nights. So thank you, Richard. Thank you, Hayden. We'll head into the other bits and pieces that we've got tonight, and then we'll head to some of the videos that we've got. Now, I bang on about NanoVNAs. You've seen this little box with the NanoVNA in it and all the adapters and their bits and pieces. Now, there is the same people who produce the produced one of the NanoVNAs, because there's a whole lot of companies that are producing the NanoVNAs these days, are also producing this little. Let me zoom out here. Okay, this RF demo kit, and if I zoom in just a fraction here, we should. Can I make that a little bit sharper? Yes, I can. So this is a little PCB that the same people produce, these cis joint at the top, which is a little bit of a sort of a nano, a VNA training board. That's probably the good way of describing it. There's some little networks here. You can see the network up the top, a capacitor and a resistor and an inductor, and then in a different combination. There's a 33 ohm resistor, a 75 ohm, a band stop filter, a band pass filter, and then a low pass filter and a high pass filter. A couple of attenuators, and then some other combinations down here. And what it also shows you, really importantly, is what the Smith chart, which on the NanoVNA you can get it to display the Smith chart for, what the Smith chart should actually look like for this particular combination. And you can actually set it up so that this is a bandstop filter for 6.5 megs. So if you sort of scan from 5 to 10 megs, magically at 6.5 you see the little attenuation peak, and that sort of thing. Now it comes with the PCB, and it also comes with a couple of fly leads. Now you'll notice, this is what gets me. The fly leads are in anti-stat bag. This just comes in a padded bag. But
what are you gonna? Never mind.
Not that there's any I suppose active components on here that you'd have to worry about.
Or that.
But I sort of would have thought the PCB would have been in here, and that would have been in there.
Maybe there's an error in the packaging assembly line, and they put it in the wrong packet.
But this is and on the other side, you actually do get a little Smith chart here with some explanations in both English and Chinese. So
either way, it doesn't make sense. It's a Smith chart, does it?
That's a Smith chart. So if someone wants to jump in and describe how the Smith chart works, be my guest. So it's really just a little demonstration / training PCB, and I've been through the bits and pieces and done the scans with the VNA, and it works very nicely. The only thing I'd say is these little what are those connectors called? UFL connectors.
Yeah.
The little UFL connectors are just a pain in the ass.
Yeah, aka annoying connectors.
Correct. And I'm really not sure how long they're going to last. So that's my only criticism of it. But for $20 for the board and the fly leads, you have got to be kidding. How do they do that? How do they actually do that? So anyway, that's oh, hang on, what did I do just then?
You faded in, then faded out, then faded back again.
Oh, there we go. No, that's better. That's a bit better. So that was the NanoVNA training bits and pieces. Now I also wanted to, for those people who haven't seen, these were released. These were released a little while ago. They're not new, but this is the Raspberry Pi 4. So this is the Model B 4 gig version. For those who haven't seen a Model 4, there's a few things that are different.
Only need a 20 amp power supply at 5 volts.
Yeah, well, that's one of them. The very first thing you realise is the power connector is actually a USB-C connector. So that's the first thing. So your power supplies with the micro, whatever they're called, on there, normally.
USB micro.
USB micro won't fit. So USB-C, and also the 5 volt power supply needs a minimum of 3 amps.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
So this is
how many watts do these boards draw?
Well, that tells me that it's probably near enough to 15 amps. 15 watts.
Yeah,
15 watts.
The
5 volts or 3
the
amps.
Raspberry Pi 2 and the 3s were only like 1 watt.
You needed 2 amp. You needed a 2 amp supply.
Yeah,
no,
but
and on the later ones, you needed a 2.5 amp supply.
Yeah, but I don't think they ever got anywhere near that though. Unless you were absolutely hammering them.
a 1.5 amp one on mine, on one of the ones I was playing with that thing with Ron, and every few seconds you just see the lightning bolt flash up.
Actually, just a quick story on the USB-C.
Yep.
Did you hear that Apple may soon be forced, because Apple use their own proprietary lightning
Connectors, yes.
They're going to soon be forced to move to USB-C because of where the phones are manufactured. There's a ruling that's to do with recycling and, not having heaps of different connectors, so it's going to put waste in, and
Okay.
it's just so they're going to be forced to move to USB-C. It sounds like in the next year or
That's
two.
not a bad thing, actually.
No,
It's not a bad thing.
no, and
Being
essentially,
an iPhone user.
essentially they're the same size connector
Yeah.
almost.
No, correct.
Mm.
It's only the marketing people get their fingers in the pie, really.
Correct. So that's the first thing you'll notice. You'll notice that there are two. Oh, hang on. Let's go back to where we were, where you can actually see this thing. You'll actually notice that there are two HDMI connectors. They're micro HDMI connectors, so you need the converter. But anyway, okay. But there's two of them, so you can actually
Dual
have
screen.
dual screen.
Yeah.
And can I just say, you can have dual screen at pretty high resolution.
Can we run Windows 10 on this yet?
Yes, you can,
Ah.
because it's a quad-core processor.
Can we run a full version of Windows 10, not the scaled down?
I'm actually not sure about that. I don't
Because
know.
I know the original ones you could run Windows 10, but it was a very low budget.
Yeah, it was
Scaled,
very cut down version
portable.
of it. Yeah. The audio connectors hasn't changed. That's the same as the others. There is the camera connector and the display connector that hasn't changed. The GPIO port hasn't changed. Now the
Two USB 3s,
two USB 3s, and that's a gigabit Ethernet port.
which are not really likely to get gigabit through.
No, but I use the gigabit. This is actually why I bought this, because there are gigabit Ethernet ports on the HP SDR, and so I can connect the HP SDR to this and actually have a gigabit connection through Ethernet, which is actually why I bought these. Now the other thing is they do recommend that you actually heatsink the processor at least.
Okay.
And there are lots of cases coming out for Model 4s that have little fans in them.
Yes.
Little quiet fans. So anyway, I just thought I would show it because
Use a 12 volt fan, they'll run it at 5 volts. So
correct.
I have a 5 volt fan on mine, and it's like really running on it.
So yeah, that's a Raspberry Pi Model 4.
You can buy. I got off eBay. They're like a 12 volt to 5 volt. They're like a car converter, but they're good for 3 amps, and they're only like $4 each from eBay. And they're good if you solder them directly to the GPIO 5 volt pin.
Yeah.
Then you can power it that way rather than over the USB-C and take up an iPhone charger or something like that.
Yeah, well and truly.
If you use it powered up all the time.
That's a Raspberry Pi 4. And they're going into my HP SDR, the Pi display units. So that's why I've actually bought them. And it was primarily because of the gigabit Ethernet port.
Buy it locally, or
I bought it from Little Bird because if you notice, if you go off to RS Components or Element 14, Farnell, when they ask you a question if you want to buy a Raspberry Pi, is it for commercial use or is it for home use? And as soon as it's home use, it comes up with a list of where you can get it from.
really?
You can't actually buy it from Element 14 if you say it's not commercial. No, you just say it's commercial and you can buy it from them. But that comes from Little Bird, because I actually have bought a lot of things from Little Bird, and they are fantastic to
How
deal
much
with.
are they? $50, something like that.
No, they're a bit more than that. They are a bit more than
The
that.
$35 computer, they're actually
PoE capable.
Yes. Yeah. So there you go.
handy for like a normal 802 AF.
I tell you what, you're running a fair bit of current over PoE though.
802 AF will do 14 watts or something. 15,
Oh, okay. No, well
20 watts?
that's it.
Mm.
That's it.
I think one of the high power ones we used to run the little PA modules off would do like
4K, 60
30
frames a
watts.
second.
Yeah.
Mm.
Times 2.
That's a good little.
That's pretty impressive.
That's a good little home media box.
They're actually selling these as literally a little fairly well optioned terminal type standalone PC, like a NUC.
if we all sort of really got off our bums and sort of learned a bit of Linux, it'd be like run Ubuntu on it, it'd be like Diet Pi, like.
Yeah. Well, come on. What's holding you back?
You first.
No, I'm already there. I'm already there. I've got one Windows box in my shack. All the others are Linux or Ubuntu actually, because it is just so much nicer to deal with. So yeah. Anyway, now Richard Rogers, VK7RO, Romeo Oscar, brought in some wonderful bits of historic memorabilia. And I thought I would give them a bit of a show. Let's zoom out here. Now this particular one, this is a little high voltage coil. You can see the vibrator on the end that vibrates in and out. The coil, which has a huge number of turns on it, this is quite hefty. So there's a lot of copper on there, and the primary and secondary. And there's a beautiful little knife switch here that on and off, and then the little vernier to adjust the contacts for the open and close. The little vibrator switch there, fantastic on a very nice little polished board. So that's the first box. The second box here, again, I think is it's a little vibrator box. You can see the vibrator contacts here that create the alternating current for the coil that's in here, and this is quite heavy. Beautiful little made box with the tenon joints on the ends. You can see. Let me turn it this way. Oh, there we go. The tenon joints here, and then there's contacts for. I think this slots into a connector arrangement there, and then the last one, which is actually quite a bit. I'm going to have to zoom out here. This is quite a large box. Contacts at the top. Again, this end you can see here. The make and break contacts that buzz backwards and forwards here. Could be like a spark gap power supply that generates the high voltage. These are quite distance apart, so you'd expect this to be high voltage. The low voltage in here through the vibrator into the transformer, and then high voltage coming out here. So shock therapy sort of stuff. There is a name on the top of here. If I zoom in, and oh, there we go. Oh, patented. Okay, and it's 1898. So this is the sort of time that we're actually looking at here. So absolutely fantastic. So yes, thank you for Richard for bringing that in. In fact, what we can do here, we can head to. That's a bit better. Okay, so thank you to Richard Rogers for bringing those historic items in. Now, conference, WIA conference. You're probably sick of me banging on about this, but the WIA conference is being held in Hobart on the weekend of the 8th to the 10th of May 2020. And the event site is all up and going. Go to the WIA website, wia.org.au, and there's in the hot spots down the right hand side, you'll see the conference link, and it'll tell you all about it. Now, the bit of a stop press I did last week was our keynote speaker for the dinner, the conference dinner, which is on the Saturday night. We have now our conference keynote speaker, who is Professor Elizabeth Leane, and I dug out some information for her, and the very first two videos tonight are actually some talks, really short talks that she gives on what her role is in IMAS and the UTAS English department, and her association with Antarctica. So I just have a bit of an outline from her website here. Professor Elizabeth Leane is studying the passion for literature that the hostile continent of Antarctica evokes, and the power in turn of literature to influence what we think and feel about Antarctica. And her work highlights the need for a presence of the humanities as well as the sciences in Antarctic research. So she's she's certainly into that research. She has some great stories about literature that she has found from previous explorers, and how they entertain themselves, and their journals and all sorts of things. So she's coming along on the Saturday night to give us the keynote presentation after the dinner. So the videos, that's a good segue into the videos. Those first two videos are from Professor Ellie Leane. Then we've got VK5KK David Minchin on 122 gig and Cassegrain antennas. Now, we played a little bit of this last week, but we actually ran out of time, so I'll play this again so you actually get the whole presentation. Ham radio crash course. We are killing the amateur bands, and here's how to fix it, which is a little bit about EMR and RFI. Demo of why a good VNA calibration kit is essential by Dr. David Kirby. A little one on logistics of living in Antarctica, which has got some fascinating insights about living and working in Antarctica. And then we finish off, if we get enough time, with the VKCL tutorial by David, VK5DP. So without further ado, we'll get on to our videos, and we'll head in to have a cup of tea and do a few things in next door. So this is VK7OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania, with our ATV Experimenters Nights and 73, and we'll catch you next week.